The tampon king gets back in the ring. I speak of former VP nominee Tim Walz. He joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris.
The drama surrounding Tim Walz didn't just erupt overnight. It simmered, built pressure, and finally exploded into a political spectacle the moment Greg Gutfeld stepped onto the stage, armed with sarcasm sharp enough to slice through Minnesota's winter air. It was a clash that felt less like political discourse and more like an arena showdown where one man strutted in believing he was ready for the spotlight, and the other showed up to demonstrate in real time why some people should never wander into comedy crossfire. From the very first jab to the last punchline delivered with ruthless precision, Gutfeld turned Walz into the unwilling centerpiece of a demolition act he never saw coming. A takedown that lit up social media, cable news, and every corner of the political arena that thrives on spectacle, conflict, and the unmasking of blunders that can no longer be ignored. It all began with Walz stepping into the national spotlight, once more, arms wide open, voice confident, face animated.
Strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on D&I.
Ready to perform yet another round of moral grandstanding that sounded like vague poetry mixed with political fortune cookie slogans. He joined a Texas town hall event alongside Beto, and immediately the atmosphere shifted. Or at least that's how Gutfeld framed it. The estrogen jokes came fast. The comedic exaggerations exploded, and soon Walz's earnest attempts at philosophical commentary about diversity and immigration turned into material so ripe for mockery that Gutfeld didn't even have to reach for the low-hanging fruit. It fell into his hands voluntarily. Walz thought he was making the case for unity, progress, and the inspirational idea of America as a nation of immigrants. But the delivery landed not as a powerful call to action, but as a muddled collage of cliches, poorly timed statements, and strange emotional outbursts that left viewers squinting as it tried to translate lines from a badly dubbed foreign soap opera. Before Walz could even reset himself, Gutfeld pounced.
Clown.
Yes.
Who is just an inconsequential footnote to vice presidential history.
Yes.
No one will remember his name on trivia night, and that's going to be in 3 months.
He framed the governor's speech as a political equivalent of someone waking up from a nap mid-sentence and pretending they were making a point. It wasn't just criticism. It became a comedic curb stomp, a takedown powered by timing, tone, and the comedic instinct of a man who knows precisely when his target has no defense. From there, the mockery accelerated into the realm of performance art. Gutfeld painted Walz as a governor whose leadership style resembles someone wandering through a grocery store trying to remember what they came for, visibly confused yet insisting they've got everything under control. The imagery was vivid, exaggerated, and absolutely relentless. Walz, Gutfeld argued, isn't just a weak political presence. He's a buffet of mediocrity. Not the entree, not even the appetizer, but the bland scoop of lukewarm mashed potatoes sitting at the end of the table, ignored and unwanted, yet somehow always making its way onto the plate. But the real fuel came from Walz's past, which kept resurfacing, like a plot twist nobody asked for, but everyone kept talking about.
Is that Walz lost, but one of them, Politico says, is like Walz's wide eyes showed his passion and emotional intent.
Record, long the subject of whispers, criticism, and controversy, became the center of a new wave of scrutiny. Reports resurfaced accusing Walz of embellishing his rank, his service, and even the circumstances under which he left the Minnesota National Guard. Veterans called it concerning. Critics called it dishonest. Gutfeld called it comedy gold. He tore into the narrative with all the subtlety of a fireworks show inside a warehouse, highlighting every contradiction, every shifting explanation. Every time Walz had tried to inflate his image into something bigger than the reality. When Walz's former superior claimed he left his post after learning his unit might deploy to Iraq, the story took on a more dramatic edge. Gutfeld, never one to miss the opportunity, turned the serious allegation into satire. He described Walz running from accountability, like a man distracted by someone shouting free cookies in the distance. The joke landed because the pattern was clear. Walz had an explanation for everything, but none of his explanations ever matched each other. He became, in Gutfeld's framing, The political version, a guy who shows up to every event with a new excuse and assumes nobody remembers the last one.
I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's an adult like Donald Trump. You bully the shit out of him.
And then came the drinking incident. Another chapter in the growing anthology of Tim Walz moments that critics couldn't help but dissect. Gutfeld recounted the story with theatrical flair, describing how Walz allegedly failed a field sobriety test, blew a shockingly high blood alcohol level, and later tried to dismiss the entire situation by claiming he misheard the instructions. Misheard them while driving over 100 an hour, misheard them while blowing a number so high it should have come with a warning label. The punchline was razor sharp. Walz didn't just deny wrongdoing, he denied reality. From there, the narrative shifted into deeper political critique wrapped in comedy, with Gutfeld weaving every misstep into a larger tapestry of incompetence. Walz's policies, his rhetoric, his bizarre public statements, they all became combustible material. He was painted as a man who built a snitch line for citizens to report one another, yet refused to own up to his own infractions. A man who pushed hoaxes about political opponents while simultaneously hiding behind half-baked stories about his own scandals. A man who seemed to want the image of strength but not the burden of accountability. As Gutfeld kept the momentum, the audience watching the segment could feel the energy shift. The takedown wasn't just comedic. It was cinematic, dramatic, and punctuated by a rhythm that bordered on storytelling. Gutfeld's voice became the voice of the frustrated taxpayer, the confused voter, the weary resident of a state that felt like it had been turned into a laboratory for political theater. He described Walz's leadership style as performance art gone wrong, the kind of production where the paint spills, the cast forgets their lines, and the director blames the audience for not understanding the deeper message. Walz's approach to governance was dragged into the spotlight next, particularly his handling of Minnesota's economy. Inflation surged, businesses fled, unemployment numbers cracked open new fears. And Walz responded not with innovation or reform, but with more taxes, more regulation, and more barriers to growth. Gutfeld framed it as watching someone take a sinking ship and respond by drilling additional holes in the hull, under Walz. Even the air felt taxable, a metaphor that captured the frustrations brewing within the state's business community. Gutfeld imagined a Minnesota where smiles came with a surcharge, and thinking of moving to South Dakota triggered a financial penalty. Crime came next. Another sore point in the Walz saga. Minnesota's rising crime rates, the chaos of riots during the pandemic, and the breakdown of public safety all put Walz in the crosshairs. Gutfeld described his approach as a toddler playing with matches, clueless, overconfident, and incapable of recognizing the danger until everything was already in flames. Walz's response to crime seemed rooted in idealism disconnected from reality, as though he believed criminals could be pacified through community workshops, scented candles, and emotional support seminars. It was absurd, but the absurdity was exactly what Gutfeld needed to drive the satire home. Then came one of the most devastating comedic blows, Walz's take on voting rights. Walz claimed Trump's actions were designed specifically to make it harder for women to vote. When pressed, the explanation fell apart instantly. The follow-up question, often a politician's worst nightmare, pierced through the narrative like a spotlight, exposing an empty stage. Gutfeld seized a moment, turning the floundering logic into another punchline, a reminder of how fragile unsupported claims become under even the slightest scrutiny. And then the debate moment arrived, the now infamous instance where Walz simply forgot who he was mid-sentence. Gutfeld didn't have to embellish. The moment was too surreal on its own. A politician lost in real time, searching for a thread, forgetting the role he was meant to play. It became a metaphor for his entire political career. A man standing on a stage he wasn't prepared for, improvised his way through governance as though he were reading policy from a blurry teleprompter written in disappearing ink. As the narrative expanded, Walz's odd remarks, his self-contradictions, and his strange attempt to humor fueled an entire section of Gutfeld's takedown.